Another thing is we bought deals all the time. People now are telling me, hey, Michael, you've been doing this a while. Should I wait for the crash? How many of you are thinking about, hey, I'm gonna get smart. I'm gonna wait for the crash. Come on now, be honest. Oh, you guys are liars.
With apartments, yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, multis are freaking ridiculous. But yeah, here's the deal. We were buy and hold investors. We have this story 1 minute at a time. I bought something about every 6 months of our career because I'm not smart enough to time a market. If you are doing your math and you understand and only buy good or great deals, it doesn't matter. And I'll get into what a good or a great deal is in a minute. I use conservative financing, fixed rate debt, all that stuff. Do the deal. I don't think you can really time the market, especially today. Interest rates are in the 4. I did deals as high as 12. Today, interest rates, if you don't own anything, could be in the 4s.
3s.
Oh, you're killing me. I can't get those. I own too much. Another thing that's important when I look back at our career, the one thing I did well, and it's just kind of how I'm wired, is I'm an early morning person, and I spent 60 minutes every day for 10 years looking at the Fresno market. And here's the deal. I knew no one. I had no MLS access. I simply used Realtor.com. Right? I started by understanding our criteria, looking at that every day, documenting it, seeing how it changed. Right? There was a time where I could talk about the Mayfair or the Tower or downtown better than real estate agents that lived in Fresno because I looked every day for 10 years, at least once. I still do, yes. But I occasionally take a day off now.
What were you looking at exactly?
So I started with, because I didn't know any different, I started with 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, single-story homes. 60 to 50 square feet lots up to 8,000. I didn't know any different. I now get a lot more advanced, but I looked every day for probably for the first 18 months at that criteria only. And I got really good at understanding what a bad deal was, an average deal, good, and great, because I looked every day. Right? It takes practice, but you can do it. Yep.
Did you use any other resources to get familiar with the market?
No, I would create lists, and we would come down every other weekend and drive neighborhoods and all of that. But no, we didn't have Zillow. We didn't have Property Radar. We didn't have all this stuff that you all have today. Right? I had Realtor.com and a 2.5-hour drive to Fresno on a Saturday or Sunday, followed by a 2.5-hour drive back. Didn't do bird dogs. Didn't pay people to drive for dollars. There was no direct mail. Hard lifting. The other thing that's kind of odd about our story is for the first 15 years, I bought everything out of the MLS. Everything. I had no buys from sellers. I did buy one thing on auction.com during the absolute crash. It was a Madera duplex. But other than that, everything I bought was available to everybody in this room. I had no special access. I just worked harder. We conservatively finance everything. So again, because I've been doing this so long, I saw people, and this is going to happen this time. There are some people that you know in your network that have been freaking killing it the last 5 years. They're living high on the hog. They got new cars. They probably have 2 or 3 new cars. They probably moved. Right, you know who I'm talking about. I know some of you know who I'm talking about. When this thing turns and they're highly leveraged and their shit really don't cash flow, they're going to lose it all. I knew people that were worth $10 million with out-of-state properties that once this turned and those first couple of dominoes fall, they couldn't get out of the way. They declared bankruptcy and lost everything. More than one person. So remember what I told you earlier? Uncomfortable truth number 1, sacrifice. Right? Don't be that person, because sellers markets change and the good times will end. Be conservative. So one thing I did is we got out in I call it 2007. We had 8 houses, actually 7 houses in a duplex. And the reason we got out was because I came to a meetup like this. And I was like, I can't buy the 9th one. These prices in Fresno were stupid. Right? That house I bought for $107, I could buy the one across the street for $270. But unfortunately, it still rents for $1,100. Right? It barely worked at $107. How the hell is it going to work at $270? What are these people doing? And everybody wants one. Some people want 2. This is what was going on in 2007, right? Crazy. So real estate meetup like this. Somebody came up to me and goes, hey, did you ever think about commercial? Again, I'm stupid. I go, I don't want shopping centers and office buildings, right? Why would I want commercial? He goes, I remember the pat on the back. He's like, oh, Michael. No, we mean apartment buildings, and specifically small apartment buildings, 5 to 10 units. We actually found one, I think. Thank you very much. So what this meant was commercial is a type of financing. So condos through fourplexes are bought with residential financing. Commercial is 5 units and above. Don't ask me why 5. I have no freaking idea. It's the law, as far as I know. So what we did is we started to look at small multis. And what we found is multis were a lot better. So if you remember North Drive, we bought for 107, sold for 270. I already told you we bought Vassar, 5 units. We bought it for 220. We sold Norris for 270. We bought Vassar for 220. But here's the kicker. Norris still rented for 1,100. Vassar rented for $3,000. Does anybody see the problem with that? Neither did I. So I quickly did a 1031 exchange out of all of my houses at silly, ridiculous prices. And we went from 8 units to 80 units. Because we took equity out. We did a 1031 out of houses into small multifamilies. But here's the deal. There was some chatter up front. I don't know if everybody caught it. I believe, and I have this later in the slides, that markets get nutty. So 2006 to 2008, single-family housing was nutty. I believe because of Grant Cardone and the syndicators of the world that multifamilies are nutty, specifically bigger apartment buildings. Like stupid nut. I own some of these things, and I'm selling them now because people are paying 30% more than they're worth.
For ridiculous prices.
They're looking at some of the C-class stuff I own and paying me like it's an A-class property. If you want to take it off my hands at that, I'll take it back in about 5 years when the debt resets. No problem. So again, markets can get nutty. And if the market's getting nutty, look elsewhere. So in 07 and 08, that meant look at anything but a house. Today, I would not spend a second of time looking at multifamilies 5 to 20. I probably wouldn't even look at fourplexes, right? Because everybody and their brother is there. And here's the deal. There's like, for every fourplex, there's, I don't know, 30 houses. But if everybody's looking for fourplexes, the math gets silly. So that's my, and I have it again later, but that's what I think about multis right now. I think they're just insanely priced. So another thing that I believed in the beginning is I believed banks would always lend to me. I had a 6-figure job, an 800 credit score, and money in the bank. Guess what happened from 2009 to 2011?
No money.
No bank would lend to me. I was the enemy. I felt like when I walked into Bank of America, alarms would go off. I mean, I just felt like the enemy. That's how they treated us. So you have to find other ways. And I have a slide just on raising private money because I got pretty good at that. I used hard money first and then found private money even better. So we never stopped looking for deals, hence the story of one at a time. My goal through all of this is to make my next purchase better than the one I just did. That's kind of a mode that I've always had. Right? And I got pretty good at doing that. The other thing is because we had this crazy busy life, trying to raise our daughter and keep her safe and sane, we outsourced everything. We had property managers since we had one house. We paid 10%. Right? We don't pay that today, but that's what we paid in the beginning. We outsourced contractors, painters. Yes, I did come paint a unit one time just to prove I was a man. I'm freaking never doing that again. I hate it. But again, so we outsource everything.